is an abomination. Swear, my brother, no respect for humanity. Fake pastor who do not know God, I made ambassadors, smuggle gold. Charlatans like a Bronson. Uber devil, nothing angelic about him. James, criminals with the Bible fake prayers so they can fool the evil regime. Oh, shameless musicians like Ja Praiser, Olivia, gospel mafia. You have no idea, it's broken to pieces. Salute prison officer, shepherd youth. Give to Salos, I forget contact. Our country is broken, stolen and torn apart. How do I tell my story? The future of Zimbabwe is in a sorry state. And how do I shout for justice? Girlfriends are made ministers, corruption silenced our mouth. Zimbabwe is broken, mama. Can I tell you my story? Back in the day, this country was working. Listen, brother, you Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is broken. Mama, this is a beautiful song made by Simba One Blast, talking about our situation in Zimbabwe, that Zimbabwe is a broken state. Mama, right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, good evening, Zimbabweans. Welcome again to this edition where we are going to talk a lot about the assassination of Saruwaka and the assassination of Geza, blessed Geza. Things not right in our country, ladies and gentlemen. And I wonder why South Africa is allowing this to happen in South Africa. I don't know, maybe. And Mungawe idea why South African government allows that to happen. All they ever do is to steal loot and deny in the face. The government is an abomination. Swear, my brother, no respect for humanity. Fake pastor who do not know God, I made ambassadors, smuggle gold. Charlatans like a Bronson. Uber devil, nothing angelic about him. James, real and crew, criminals with the Bible fake prayers so they can fool the evil regime. Oh, shameless musicians like Ja Praiser, Olivia, gospel mafia. You have no idea, it's broken to pieces. Prison officer, shepherd youth. Right, so before we start, ladies and gentlemen, I think I need to show you this young man who has been gunned down in South Africa. Mfana Kudzai Saruwaka. You know, I don't know what is really happening in Zimbabwe, where this boy I wanted to hear. He is talking now.
Masera say Zimbabwe magadi tukutenda vanhu vese wabuda for the demonstration. Vazhinji takwanisa kuonana meeting points mamanga makagurupana. Kudaira kuti tamboburuka tikaita almost 30 minutes tichionana nevanhu vese tichizivana kuti tasvika sei. Asi matambudziko atasangana nawo pagaundi
matambudziko akawanda
tese tamaona. Vasungwa tisati tamboita action. What more dai tazopinda mu-action. But tikuziya hedu kuti kusunga kwaitwa panga paine fazi ndo yanga ichitora vanhu ichienda kunowadhamba kuHarare Central Police Station. Saka message yatoda kupa kune mapurisa ekuHarare Police Station, chengetai macomrades aripo zvakanaka. We don't want to hear any problems there. Keep our comrades safe. We understand we are in struggle. Tasangana nemapurisa ari pabasa takurukura. They understand what we have discussed. Isiso kuno tineo kwatatizira because vanga vachiedza kuti tsoma ndo saka shamwari yangu madzibaba eshanduko asipo. Asi isu nana mazibaba weshanduko we are safe. Asi wana baba Mdiwa, wana baba Mapengo, wana Honorable Geza nevamwe mawo veterans wana Chikwere hatisisinawo pano vasungwa vari kuHarare Central. Asi pamberi nerevolution isi tine macomrades atinawo pano atakazorora tamhanya kwazvo but hatina kuzomhanya zviri legendary. Saka tichambozorora tichambonwira mvura tizive kuti video muchaiona nguwai asi pamberi nerevolution.
So this is the boy speaking now, Saruwaka speaking. That's Saruwaka speaking now.
Meeting points mamanga makagurupana. Ndodaira kuti tamboburuka tikaita almost 30 minutes tichionana nevanhu vese tichizivana kuti tasvika sei. Asi matambudziko atasangana nawo paground tese tamaona. Zvisinei zvinenge zvichiitika tinenge tichizviziva. Tikuziva kuti tine vana vakati wandei wasungwa tisati tamboita action. What more dai tazopinda mu-action. But tikuziva hedu kuti kusungwa kwavaitwa panga paine fazi ndo yanga ichitora vanhu ichienda kunowadhamba kuHarare Central Police Station. Saka message yatu.
Yeah, Mazinzwa, this is the young man who has been gunned down in South Africa at the instigation of the Zimbabwe government. So, right, I'm going to discuss about the killing of Geza and the killing of this Saruwaka. He's a young man, young boy, who died because he wanted to see a better Zimbabwe for every Zimbabwean. These political assassinations have been an ongoing thing in our country, showing the dark side of Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa. They are coming due to the deterioration in the president's behavior. The president of Zimbabwe's behavior has deteriorated, making it a cause of concern, because we have got, Zimbabwe is a country that has got a constitution. When a president of a country goes unconstitutional and the people challenge him, he must not kill the Zimbabweans for challenging him. This is the reason why we are a country, we are a nation with a constitution. So when the people challenge you for being illegitimate, that's the first place. The legitimacy of Mnangagwa is questionable. He's an illegitimate leader. Even SADC agreed that he's an illegitimate leader. So when the people of Zimbabwe are challenging you because Mnangagwa's behavior has deteriorated, he has championed an unconstitutional move to say he wants to extend his term of presidence by 2 more years after its expiry in 2028, raising concerns that what does he want to achieve in 2 years, which he cannot achieve in 2 years that have left from now for his term to expire. So this is where the crisis of legitimate is seen. People now can clearly see that Mnangagwa is illegal. Remember, Geza was a member of the Central Committee. He was a ZANU-PF cadre. He was a war veteran who fought for the liberation of Zimbabwe, who came out of the war hoping for the better for the people of Zimbabwe. So if you look at this Geza revolution, the revolutionists in the Geza's camp have their own interpretations of the victory, Mnangagwa's victory in 2018 and 2023. Atete Leveness Mangaira, how are you? Bernardinho, how are you? So you find that the Geza revolutionists, they've got their own interpretation of Mnangagwa's victory, 2018 victory and the 2023 victory, which interpretations they have forwarded to champion the step down of Emerson Mnangagwa. Because of these two past elections, Mnangagwa's behavior has deteriorated beyond expectations. The reason why Geza and this young boy Saruwaka all decided to say enough is enough. Mnangagwa must step down. Mnangagwa must go. Because they cannot sustain another term with Emerson Mnangagwa having failed to deliver the election promises. ZANU-PF went into an election without a manifesto because they've got nothing to offer to the people of Zimbabwe. Tototai Matwara, how are you, my brother? Linjan. So if you look at things that have been happening in the country, the killing of Geza in South Africa, the killing of Saruwaka in South Africa, we call these extrajudicial executions, which are unlawful. The deliberate killing of these guys carried out by Mnangagwa's order or by the Zimbabwe government order, it complicates the relationship of Zimbabweans, of future Zimbabwe government and the Zimbabwe and the Zimbabweans. Who killed Geza? Military intelligence, obvious. If we say military intelligence, I don't think we are being honest, but there are elements in ZANU-PF who are trained to kill. Look at this young man from Guruve. He was a ZANU-PF activist who went on to murder 21 people in Guruve, and ZANU-PF couldn't apprehend him. Eri Sikhahan, how are you? Long time, Goma. Yes, my brother, how are you? Zuru Fambereri. So you find that these extrajudicial killings that are happening in South Africa at the instigation of Emerson Mnangagwa and the Zimbabwe government, these must be stopped. They must be stopped. Because when we say extrajudicial killings, what do we mean? There is literature, United States definition of extrajudicial killing. I'm going to read the definition as it has been deposed by the United States, so that tofambirana ni presentation vanenge vane mibvunzo yenyu imboichengetai for the time being, because I'm in a mode of a presentation. I'm not going to answer questions whilst I am making this presentation, but I want you guys to try and keep your questions at the end of this program, which I hope won't take an hour. Then I'll take your questions and answer to your questions. So the definition of extrajudicial executions or killings, this is a deliberate killing not authorized by a previous judgment pronounced by a regular constituted court, affording all judicial guarantees which are recognized as indispensable by civilized people. Such a term, however, does not include killings that under international law is thankfully carried out under the authority of a foreign nation. So since Emerson Mnangagwa became president of Zimbabwe in November 2017, he has launched these extrajudicial killings, resulting in extrajudicial deaths of thousands of alleged critics of Zimbabwe government. A lot of people have been killed abroad, particularly in South Africa. We have seen a lot of people dying in South Africa. Hanzina atete beauty muchaka vura kusvika rini tiri under this evil regime. This is the question every Zimbabwean is asking. That Mnangagwa came to power in 2017 after a coup. Then he launched a war on critics, people who criticize his government, people who criticize his style of leadership, style of governance. And those who criticize him or his style of governance has faced the extrajudicial killings. These extrajudicial killings resulted in extrajudicial judicial deaths of thousands of critics. So extrajudicial killing is the killing of a person, ladies and gentlemen, by a government, or the killing of a patient by government authorities without sanction of any judicial proceeding or any legal proceeding. Someone, ZANU-PF inongotaura kuti iwewe uri mhondi, kana kuti iwewe uri kukriticize Vision 2030, then the president of Zimbabwe orders your killing. Moses Takawira anzi wangu madzibaba Yuda zviri sei ndakasimba mukoma Mose makadii baba Mose zviri kufamba here mudhara wangu zviri kudini. So you find that the government feels threatened by those who criticize it instead of taking lessons or learning from critics and make Zimbabwe a better country. Do you know that if Zimbabweans had a working hospitals, very good road infrastructure, Zimbabweans having jobs, earning something a week, because if they have got jobs, they spend time in factories manufacturing goods for resale, earning a living. Zimbabweans won't be looking into what all this government is doing. Zimbabweans won't be criticizing Emmerson Mnangagwa. If our road infrastructure is spot on, railway infrastructure spot on, industries functioning, producing goods for resale, thousands of people employed, to the extent that nyika yaifana kutsvaga vashandi kunze kwenyika kuti we've got shortage of labor in our country. Unfortunately, it's the way vice versa. And as a result, Zimbabweans have been criticizing Emmerson Mnangagwa for the last 10 years. He has failed to create jobs. He has failed to make our hospitals work. He has failed to build a road infrastructure. He has failed, even sewages are flowing everywhere in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe, amendo vanhu vari kufamba vanhu vari kugara imomo vari kugara sei. Sewage is flowing everywhere. Everywhere sewage is flowing. It's like a big, Zimbabwe as a country is like a big sewage, a sewage treating plant. The whole country. It's like a big sewage treating plant. Everywhere we go, everywhere you walk, sewages are everywhere. You see. So Zimbabweans have a right to criticize the government. Zimbabweans have a right to criticize the president of a country because he is the leader of the current government that is supposed to make sure that sewage doesn't flow, that is supposed to make sure that roads are repaired and new roads are made, that is supposed to see that railway functions in our country, hospitals function in our country. But Mnangagwa has paid a deaf ear and is now engaging in extrajudicial killings following vanhu vachivauraya kunze kwenyika. Hapios Gondo anzi muri sei baba? Anzi ndakuona indikarangarira video renyu muchitaura nyaya yachidhumo. Oh, thank you so much. So you find what we are saying here, that since he came into power, Emmerson Mnangagwa, in November 2017, what people were expecting from him is not what he is doing. He is doing the other way around. He has become the champion of corruption in SADC or in the world, the whole country, to the extent that there was a documentary made by Simbachi Kanza about gold mafia where the president of a country is at the center of that document, engaging in corruption, which people were never expecting from Emerson Mnangagwa after he has been subordinate to President Mugabe, who failed in every corner to sanitize Zimbabwe suffering. And Atete Beauty, you are correct there. If we were busy and living a normal life, we would even question Baba Chi, because we would be able to get a fair ground to work for ourselves and feed our families. Yes. So these killings, ladies and gentlemen, that you have seen, the killing of Geza, the killing of Saruwaka, are unlawful. These killings are unlawful by nature. No one is supposed to die because of politics. No one is supposed to die because he's criticizing the president of a country for being unconstitutional. You mustn't be killed. Tinashem Chapa, you mustn't be killed. No one must die in Zimbabwe because you are criticizing an unconstitutional move by the deteriorating president. Mnangagwa's behavior has been deteriorated. You have seen it. You have seen it. The speech that Mnangagwa made when he became president in 2017 and the speeches that he is making now, you can tell that there's a massive deterioration in behavior. And the Zimbabweans have got the right to challenge that. And no one must be killed because you are challenging a deteriorating behavior of a president. Otherwise, if it was in other countries, by now Mnangagwa wouldn't be a president, impeached by his political party. ZANU-PF should have impeached him a long time ago and removed him as president of a country. In a democratic country. Because if we look at these killings, Mkoma Brighton Saruwaka, nematambudziko mwana wamai. Nematambudziko Mkoma Brighton. Nematambudziko. So we are talking about these extra judicial killings. These killings, ladies and gentlemen, to be honest with you, are very unlawful. By nature, these are unlawful. Because they break the process of legal jurisdiction in which they are supposed to occur. For someone to be hanged by a state, you need to have committed a crime. You need to be presented before the jury of the courts. You need to be convicted and sentenced to death. Not because not because you are opposing an unconstitutional move by a president of a country, then he sanctions your killing. That is illegal. That is illegal. Most of the time, if you see these extrajudicial killings, they target leading politicians. Geza was leading a function that was trying to stop an unconstitutional move in ZANU-PF. He is ZANU-PF. He was ZANU-PF, who was trying to fight an unconstitutional move by a president of a country who has deteriorated in behavior. So you will find that most extrajudicial killings target such politicians, target religious figures. We lost the likes of Messiah, Pastor Messiah, a religious figure, targeted by the deteriorating behavior of a president of a country, president of a Zimbabwe president. So we've lost religious figures. We've lost leading politicians in our country. Look at Mdara Changirai being poisoned and being killed again by the state. And Natete Beauty, I assume that currently he feels like he has successfully got rid of most of threats. Threats akungoita zvaanoda. I don't care attitude yacho yanyanyisa. Ya kangoma karirisa manje. Ande muri kuona. I want people to chengeta this video so that mangwana muzotaura zvandakataura. Mukoma Sylvester Taringa, how are you? Long time, my brother. Musonza Shapiro, zviri same darong. Hanzi mukoma apa mataura chokwadi chisingaputse ukama vanzwa ndo chokwadi chatinoda kuti vataurire vakomanawo, that these extrajudicial killings, most of them, they target my leading politicians, they target my religious figures, they target even my trade union leaders and some socially popular figures. One of the socially popular figures is myself. I've been targeted by this regime for killing, for execution. And I'm not ruling out that one day they are going to kill me. It's because that I analyze their misdeeds. I analyze their misgovernance. I come to the people of Zimbabwe and give them an insight into certain things that probably they could have missed. So socially popular figures like myself, we are targeted by this regime. As say Felix Zamara, you said you're not going to read comments. Don't get distracted. Okay, thank you, say Felix Zamara, for reminding me. Sometimes I get carried away. Panenge paiswa comment imwenenge ichi endrana nechi ne presentation. So let me focus on the presentation currently. Thank you so much for reminding me. So, ladies and gentlemen, if we look at the extrajudicial killings that have been carried out in South Africa by Zimbabwe government or any other authorities, I am including South African government here, they've allowed these extrajudicial killings. People have fled into South Africa to seek refuge. People have fled into South Africa to seek protection. But the South African government has allowed those people who fled into that country to be arrested, to be executed in front of ANC, in front of South African government, in front of South African police. This is worsening our situation, ladies and gentlemen. One of Geza's revolution, Nyoka Emabunu, is still incarcerated in South Africa. I'm not sure, it's almost a year now. This gentleman has been in police custody or in prison in South Africa for challenging Emmerson Mnangagwa back to Zimbabwe, back in Zimbabwe. So this, if you see these extrajudicial killings which are happening now are being done by state agents from Zimbabwe, who goes into South Africa hunting down those political activists who fled Emmerson Mnangagwa's government. And this is now very common in South Africa. Look at how Job Scala's case was handled. Imagine in South Africa, CIOs managed to get access to Job Scala, planted some explosives in his car, and he reported to the, I don't know, the SAPS or the intelligence of South Africa to say that car carries explosives. That led to the arrests of Job Scala. So you find that Job Scala was lucky to be arrested. He was supposed to have been killed in South Africa. This is why I am saying these unlawful extrajudicial killings by ZANU-PF and Emmerson Mnangagwa, they must be stopped. If we don't stop them, they have spilled into other nations. Last time, ndakataurira vanhu vari mu-UK, ndikati problem yakaita United Kingdom government, it allowed a lot of COS. They did not vet them to see kuti vanhu ava vanhu vakaita sei. Takazoona towards the 2023 elections, most of the COS beneficiaries in this country who came to the United Kingdom, they were wearing ZANU-PF regalia, vachikampenera ZANU-PF openly in this country. So such type of people, if they have an opportunity to come near social to come near social popular figures like myself, they can put poison in my food. Ndosaka uri kuona ezvinezvi ndakaita retract. I retracted from most of the things that I used to do with most of these guys from Zimbabwe who came on COS visas. Vazhinji vacho tinongosangana ndeipi ndopfuura ndoenda. Because we were so close, I retracted my closeness because I have realized something. Zvavanoita vakadzava, zvavanoita vakatadza kuisira poison, vanokuklemera sexual abuse offenses. Muno mu-UK, sexual abuse unonyura. Because vanhu vari muno mu-UK, government yemuno mu-UK kana mapurisa avo havazonzwisisi kuti this is politically motivated unless if they carry a thorough investigation. I was once framed rape in this country by a ZANU-PF activist. Urona, inini, atisoda kutaura mumwe munhu, ndikutaura inini Shepherd Judah. I was arrested in this country for rape. Dai pasina kuti mapurisa akainvestigata vakasvika to the root cause kuti munhu sei akazonoclaima rape iye akadanana nemunhu for 3 years ozoenda nhasi otaura kuti nokuti munhu achadi masiyana woenda kupolisi onda kuti ndakarepwa gore rakapera muna May. Then that will cause confusion. That will cause confusion. So these extrajudicial killings that we are witnessing today, ladies and gentlemen, they must be stopped. And I'm advising political activists in the United Kingdom that you must be very careful, guys. Isusu zvatakanakira manje ndizvokuti vamwe vacho nemazita avo pandove nehwani wandakatopuhwa nezita rake, a guy akauya muno mu-UK neCOS akataura kuti inini I'm on a mission, I'm looking for Shepherd Judah. I'm going to name him. I will name him one day. Kuti azvizive kuti ndiri kuzviziva kuti he did not come on a COS visa to kuzogeza machembere munomu, but akauya on a COS visa on a mission, hunting for Shepherd Judah, and I am fully aware of that. Saka zvazvakanakira ndezvekuti information no spread tinoibata nekukasira. And this gentleman, unfortunately, girlfriend yaaifunga kuti girlfriend yake ndaakuchitaura boss vakasiyana. So I user this girl. Achitaura kuti no nini, I'm on a mission. I'm looking for access to Shepherd Judah. That gentleman, if he die, then I'll go back to Zimbabwe. He's on a mission. He's on a job. And so what's happening now, ladies and gentlemen, is these guys are from the security services, Zimbabwe security services, who were created or designed to maintain the status quo of Emmerson Mnangagwa. They don't care whether Mnangagwa fails, but what they want is just the enforcement of brutal laws that Mnangagwa has put in place in Zimbabwe. The main problem in our country, ladies and gentlemen, is that our security services, they still operate like colonial forces. They still operate like oppressors, backing the people who oppress them. They don't see that we are fighting for a free democratic state. When ZANU-PF engaged Ian Smith during the struggle for Zimbabwe, they went into the bush, armed with the arms of war, fighting for free democratic state. Zimbabwe was supposed to be a democratic state. But surprisingly, ZANU-PF has continued with the mantra of colonial forces. enforcing these colonial laws on the people of Zimbabwe who suffered during the liberation struggle. And these people, by now, we should be enjoying the free democratic state of Zimbabwe. But because of this looting Mnangagwa has introduced, we are under a serious threat from our security services. They have been deployed in South Africa to kill all critics of Emmerson Mnangagwa. They have been deployed in the United Kingdom to make sure that they get rid of the likes of Shepherd Yuda, of the likes of Blessing McKay. These are the people targeted by the ZANU-PF government. A lot of people are targeted here. So I am warning Zimbabweans who have been actively involved in politics in this country that keep watching your back. This is why I've gone back to the dojo. I am now training again. I'm training so hard. I'm back in training. If you open my car, don't be surprised to see what you see in my car. Yeah. I'm fully equipped. I'm fully equipped to deal with any situation. Because the United Kingdom government did not consider the risks of certain people. They just let people come in. Those who killed Zimbabweans, they've thronged this country. And they are on a mission. At one time, my car was attacked. My car was attacked outside. I had two cars. I had a BMW X5 and I had an E-Class Mercedes-Benz. When I got out, my BMW X5 windows were smashed. My Mercedes-Benz E-Class tires all were slashed. They were flat. Imagine the expense that I faced to fix these cars. Because of my political opinion. I've got right to say, if Mnangagwa's government fails, I've got right to point at his failures so that he can work hard to try and rectify those failures. Killing Shepherd Yuda does not change anything. Killing Blessed Geza does not change anything. Please, killing Saruwaka does not change anything. Does not change anything at all. Because what we are fighting is for a free democratic Zimbabwe. So this is where you find these extrajudicial killings by Zimbabwe security services is just to try and stop or try to instill fear in the people of Zimbabwe so that they don't stop Emmerson Mnangagwa's what? 2030 idea. It's just to put fear in people. Right now, as I'm speaking here, people are so scared. People have got fear. People are scared of talking. If we say this, then we will be in trouble. We will be killed. We will be followed and we will be assassinated. Geza, Blessed, has been assassinated. Saruwaka has been assassinated. And these people have been assassinated because there is a political conflict between Mnangagwa and Chiwenga. And these people have been supporting Chiwenga. As I'm speaking, Chiwenga is quiet. He never mentioned anything about the killings. Those people who are fighting for him to get on the throne are being killed on a daily basis. Matsibaba Veshanduku is in custody right now since October. He has been put in prison. And Chiwenga has said nothing. He has said nothing. So I'm not sure, ladies and gentlemen, that Zimbabweans, are you supposed to continue to die to try and force Chiwenga Constantino to be president of Zimbabwe, to try and force Chiwenga Constantino to wrestle power from Idi Mnangagwa. As I'm speaking, Geza is in the mortuary. This young boy, Saruwaka, is in the mortuary. A lot of people are fighting for Chiwenga to be president. And Chiwenga has said nothing. He is still the vice president. Ladies and gentlemen, Zimbabweans, we must wake up. This is why you see the targets of killings. Mnangagwa's targets of killings are important political figures, religious personalities, social personalities, heads of trade unions, general masses that come out of their homes in the times of general protests. People coming out to go in the protests against the 2030, the 2030 vision. Those people will be massacred. The people will be massacred. So this is the problem we have. That those people who will come out of their homes to go in the protest will be massacred. We still have them in prison today who came out of their homes to protest the 2030 mantra. Because Geza was determined to make sure that the 2030 is stopped. It does not succeed. So this is where these extrajudicial killings are coming in. To be honest with you, these are inhuman. Because they sidestep the legal process of court jurisdiction. Because if you commit a crime, you need to be brought before the court. And you need to be tried. If Geza had committed a crime, I expected Mnangagwa not to kill Geza, but to go and arrest Geza. Bring him to court and charge him for the crimes that he has committed. If Saruwaka had committed the crimes, I expected Mnangagwa to go in a legal process to prosecute Saruwaka rather than shooting him. 3 bullets in the head. For what? For what, guys? We need to be very careful. Those people in the diaspora. When we came to the United Kingdom, we thought we are safe in this country. When people fled to South Africa, they thought they are safe in South Africa. South Africa government is obliged by the United States Charter to protect those refugees who go to South Africa. If Ramaphosa and South Africa are allowing ZANU-PF to patronize freely in SADC, killing these people, then Ramaphosa is a criminal. I don't hesitate to call South African president an idiot. He's a criminal who has allowed people to be murdered, refugees to be killed in his country. So the problem is, this is the reason why South Africans are up against Ramaphosa. Because Ramaphosa falsifies everything. He distorted the history of SADC. Imagine. Ramaphosa has got a tendency to romanticize the brutality of Zimbabweans in his country. He does this in pursuance of an objective that made this presentation today. I'm looking at these circumstances, ladies and gentlemen. If you look at Geza, he's a gorilla who fought in the armed struggle of Zimbabwe. During that time, these guerrillas were being depicted as uncivilized savages, murderers and terrorists. If you were there during the struggle, I was there during the struggle, I saw this. These people today, vana Geza, vanani makomrades amunoona nhasi atava kuti mawo veterans vapera vachembera vasina chavanacho, vanotengerwa bhasikoro at 85 years, at 70 years. Government, ZANU-PF government, iri kuuya nebhasikoro kuzokuti thank you for participating in the liberation of Zimbabwe. Munhu ane 70 years, 80 years, acharichovha here bhasikoro riya? Acharichovha makore mangani? Vanhu vedrama, vafana vedrama, vanongofamba vachiita drama ravo paFacebook panapa, ari kupuwa rapture GD6, vari kuzvitwa rakashi for ED, vari kupuwa maToyota Hilux. Kona vanhu vari kupuwa motikari naMnangagwa. Chivhayo akataura, inini I don't blame Chivhayo. Chivhayo akataura ega, akati mari dzandiri kutengerai motikari idzi hadzisi mari dzangu, imari yeZANU-PF. Accepting that gift, you have accepted mari yeZANU. And mari yeZANU-PF yo ndo yaifanira kutengera maakwa. Maiweli vakangozunza nyama. Unoza kungodya vanhu vachikora kwekuita magaro. Vakangoenda pai vakazunza nyama pamberi paMnangagwa. Mnangagwa was so fascinated. This is why I'm saying Geza was right to say kuti the behavior of this president has deteriorated beyond the presidential qualities. So Mnangagwa must step down, must be forced to step down. Because Maiweli vakaenda pamberi paMnangagwa vakakotama, vakatanga kutambisa magaro kudai achisheka. She got a car plus $2,000 on top. President was fascinated nekuona magaro. Magaro, imagine at Mnangagwa's age, ari kuvhunduka magaro. Kutarisa magaro aMaiweli, otorwa nehana, ototaura Chivhayo kuti uyo mupe motikari, mupe $2,000 cash. Ndakaona Tagwire akaunganidza war veterans, comrades who fought in the liberation struggle. Achivapa $100, $10, $20. Aivagovera $20. But Maiweli vari kuzunza magaro pamberi paMnangagwa is getting an aqua plus $2,000 worth of a car, $2,000 cash, and $18,000 worth of a car. This is the president we have in Emmerson Mnangagwa, who is telling you that he wants 2030. He wants to extend these idiots beyond his terms set by the Constitution. To continue to give vana Maiweli vachizudza magaro motikari. Mawo veterans ari kukanga waya vanonopuwa bhasikoro re$30. Mawo veterans ari kuunganidzwa mumaruzevha vachinzwa mutori mabhasikoro. Munhu ane 80 years acharichovha bhasikoro achienda kupi? MaGD6 achipiwa twafana twemadrama. Munhu anongotora huchi nemukaka wozvizora so kuti idi huchi obva atonzi mupei motikari. A rapist, someone who raped an 8-year-old child. Let's put an 8-year-old child in your mind. Put him there. Put a 50-year-old gentleman there. Achirepa, sleeping on top of an 8-year-old girl, forcing himself inside the girl. Mnangagwa gave that rapist a car plus $10,000. I'm talking of a rapist, someone who was condemned by the courts for raping an 8-year-old girl. The president of Zimbabwe saw it fit to award that rapist with an aqua and $2,000 cash for raping an 8-year-old person. The president is happy. We are talking of a president of a country. So this deterioration in behavior of a president, this is what forced Saruwaka and Geza to say, no, Ndarawe must step down. Because there is no such type of a president. Kuti anonakirwa nemagaro. Kwata samukadzi waMnangagwa ane magaro, Oxili ane magaro. But Mnangagwa akanakirwa nemagaro aMaiweli. akanakirwa a rapist who raped an 8-year-old girl, spent time in prison. Because angodaidzira kuti Mnangagwa Uchi gave him a car, gave him 2,000. War veterans are getting nothing. They're getting bicycles, which cost about $30. Whilst a rapist, because he has praised Mnangagwa, is getting an aqua plus $2,000 cash. So all those things summed up together indicate or demonstrate a deterioration in behavior of Emmerson Mnangagwa. So he does not work. If it was another country, Zimbabwe, Mnangagwa would have been assassinated long time ago. If Zimbabwe was a free democratic country, Mnangagwa would have been assassinated. Look what happened to Donald Trump. He was almost assassinated. I am telling you that what Mnangagwa has shown since he became president of Zimbabwe in 2017, by now Mnangagwa should be dead. Should have been assassinated long time ago. Because he is clinging on to power whilst his behavior is deteriorating. He has allowed corruption to creep in our country at an industrial level. That has never happened during Mugabe's era. Mugabe at least pakaitwa ana will of uskanda Mugabe akasunga zvese zvana uteta kazvikanda kujeri izvezvo. Chainza nichi mudhara chakamboita foreign affairs minister. Akachikanda kujeri chiya chikazopuwa amnesty. You see, at least Mugabe was acting on those people. But Emmerson Mnangagwa's behavior is deteriorated beyond being a president of a country. Kana kuita sabhuku hakodzeri with what we are seeing. Saka urikuona problem irikuitika now ndeyekuti vana Geza they were gorillas. All my war veterans were gorillas who were even depicted during that time as savages, as murderers, and as terrorists. So we thought these murderers, this being savage, being a terrorist will end when the war ended. But unfortunately, these madalas continued, abducting people, killing people, calling themselves Matororo, murdering political activists and so forth. This is why the people of Zimbabwe did not buy the idea of removing Emmerson Mnangagwa through the use of Mdara Geza. Ndozvimwe zvakaita kuti Mdara Geza aitwe let down nevanhu vakawanda. So most of these titles I've said here, being savage, being murderers, being what, these were published during the war. They were published during the war, during the colonial settlers' idea. We all thought probably these were colonial settlers' ideas or ideology, which viewed gorillas as savages, which viewed gorillas as murderers, which viewed gorillas as terrorists, viewed gorillas as senseless, communist-inspired killers. This is what they were regarded by the colonialists during the war. They were the people with no moral authority on their side. Vaingoita yese yese. Vanamai vasikana vachitorwa vachiiswa kumapungwe, kumabhesi. Kune vana vamuri kuona umwe vakunetsa zvino zvaronyeba kuti maovhoti zvivana zvemagandanga zvemuhondo izvi. Andimuona. Because ukatarisa, if I point you to certain books, I've read these books. If you are interested to know what the colonialists thought about the gorillas and what the colonialists said that after independence, what type of Zimbabwe would these gorillas set up? If you are interested to read, or if you are an ardent reader, I point you to go and read a book written by Peter Stiefs. This book is titled The Rain Goddess. It was published in 1973. If you are an ardent reader, if you want to see the type of Zimbabwe we have today, the type of leaders we have today, this has been prophesied by Peter Stiefs in his book, The Rain Goddess, which was published in 1973. If you go and read that book, it capsulated what we are witnessing today. That the government, these black people, if they rule themselves, they will even follow their people and kill them in foreign lands the way they are killing white people. Another book if you are interested in reading, look for a book written by Michael Hartman. This book is titled Game of Vultures. It depicted what we are seeing today. That vultures are hovering over us when we flee their brutality from Zimbabwe. This book was published in 1973. And another book which was published by Robert Ely in 1977, a book titled A Time of Madness. These three books, they depict the situation we are in today. Read these books. They will tell you that these people were senseless communist-inspired killers. These people were savages. These people were murderers. These people were terrorists. And these three books written by white colonial people during the time of war, it is depicting what we are going through today under a black regime. Tichifunga kuti isusu takuzvitonga kuzere, apana kuzvitonga kuzere. As I am talking right now, Geza ari kumochari. Munhu akarwira nyika kuti tizvitonge kuzere. Vana Saruwaka, vana vadiki vari kutaura kuti mukuru hunhwenya huchaiti kuti murambe muri president. Madi maita step down taisa someone timboona kuti mumwe anotonga sei. Imi makashanda under Robert Mugabe. We thought you learned a lot from the mistakes that Mugabe did. Instead, we are discovering now that you never learned anything. You are the worst model of a president Africa has ever had. So can you step down whilst we put someone to be steward of Zimbabwe? And Mnangagwa is now saying these people, Marcelaus, Vapanduga, they are stupid, and now sending security forces across what we call transnational to go and commit extrajudicial killings in those countries, particularly in South Africa, where a stupid president like Ramaphosa, who assent, who sign, who agree that these people come and operate freely in Zimbabwe, in South Africa, shooting those who fled into South Africa. So this, tutanga kuzvibvunza, how safe are we? How safe are Zimbabweans in South Africa? How safe are Zimbabweans in the United Kingdom, in America, in Australia? How safe are we? Andimon, Ndatinini, let me repeat this. If you want to have a clear view of Emmerson Mnangagwa and his government, go and read books which were published in 1973. First book is called The Reign of Goddess, written by Peter Steves. The other book is called Game of Vultures, written by Michael Hartman in 1973. In 1977, there is a book titled A Time of Madness, which was wrote by Robert Ellis. So in colonial Zimbabwe, it depended largely on the perception of these writers, what they wrote about the world during that time, their predictions of an independent Zimbabwe. What would an independent Zimbabwe look like? Remember, these books were written in 1973, but they were giving us an insight of what Zimbabwe, an independent Zimbabwe, would look like if ever black people are given opportunity to rule themselves. Patiri kuti gutsa ruzhinji kuzvitonga kuzere, taakuzvitonga tichiuraiwa. tichiteerwa kunze kwenyika kwatinotiza kuti criticize government tonourayirwa ikoko. This is why these writers described Madara as savages, as uncivilized savages, as uncivilized murderers, as uncivilized terrorists. They were described by the white colonialists during the war. These are senseless, communist-inspired killers, these gorillas. People with no moral authority on their side. It's so saddening. We are so saddened, ladies and gentlemen, by the passing on of Geza, by the killing of Mpana Saruwaka. Although these guys were doing it for ZANU-PF, they wanted Constantino Chiwenga to be president. This has resulted in their loss of life. One being poisoned, the other one being shot. 3 bullets in the head. It's so sad. Not even one suspect has been picked up by police for questioning about this death. No investigations yet done by South African government. Zvatongofa zvakadaro yafa yakaloda. And it because these guys they died fighting. And they believed they were fighting to create a democratic space that would enable them to reclaim their land, to reclaim their birthright. I've got birthright. I was born in Zimbabwe. I'm Zimbabwean. But you can't reclaim to be Zimbabwean under Emerson Mnangagwa's regime, under ZANU-PF regime. This is why you see Geza took it upon himself to say, look, we need a free Zimbabwe. This is not what we fought for. And Geza made it clear that the Zimbabweans were never freed from the shackles of colonial control. ZANU-PF continued or worsened or perfecticized these colonial shackles. Ukabvunza vanhu vakaona hurumende yaSmith vandokuudza kuti Smith was far much better than hurumende yeZANU-PF. Because ZANU-PF perfected these colonial shackles, and we are still under oppression. We have never been freed from the colonial ideas, and ZANU-PF has made it worse. A black government led by a black man has perfecticized the Smith regime tactics. This is why you see, if you ask Mnangagwa na Smith who was better, Smith was better. Ask Mnangagwa and Mugabe and Smith who was better, Smith was better. Ask Mugabe and Mnangagwa who was better, Mugabe was better. You see, Smith was probably the best devil that Zimbabwe has ever had as a leader. Because the worst devils we are seeing today, they've made black people. Imagine, we are talking of black people who are saying, we can't even build a road. We can't even make our sewages work. So that we can't do that. Zimbabwe utange nyika iri kurwiwa hondo, mabuildings ari collapse, mabara, industries esakavhara. People are not working in Zimbabwe. Tinashe zvirise. And this is not the Zimbabwe that we assumed control in 1980 after independence. I don't think if we found Zimbabwe in this state it is, the people of Zimbabwe or the population would have grown. We need new leaders in that country. We need people to free us from the bondage of ZANU-PF, from the shackles of ZANU-PF. This is not the Zimbabwe that you and me adopted from the colonialists. Independence, when it came, it meant many things to many Zimbabweans. The first thing that came to the mind of every Zimbabwean at independence was freedom. It was freedom. Instead of being able to do whatever you want in your country, to do without being restricted by anything or anyone. This is why Zimbabweans went to fight. In 1980, what came into our mind was freedom. And the people were celebrating that freedom at last. Freedom that never came. Mnangagwa cannot guarantee freedom of Zimbabweans. Mugabe failed to guarantee you freedom. This is why people say we need new leaders. Because we are yet to realize what freedom is. If you go, or if you run away from this country because we don't have freedom, you are being followed and you are being killed. You are being followed and we are being killed. Zvinorwadza. Varikuuraiwa vana vadiki. People with the future of the country are being killed. Ndikukumbira maZimbabweans kuti ngatimbodzidzai kuverenga. Ngative ne-interest yekuverenga. At least pavhiki ukaverenga one novel. Next week ukaverenga two, kana kuti pamwedzi ukaverenga 2 manovels unenge uri bore. Ndoda kuti mutsvage bhuku rakanzi Feso. That was written by Mutsvairo in 1956. The same book rakanyorwa naMutsvairo, ndarainzi Mutsvairo, rine a political protest poem. Rakanzi Neanda Nyakasikana. A poem that was recited by Muzenda when he was vice president. Rekuti Neanda Nyakasikana. Richagove rinhiko vana veZimbabwe vachitambura. I want you to go read that book. Read that book again and understand that what zvaichemwa mupoem imomo mubhuku imomo rakanyorwa naMutsvairo hazvisi ndizvo here zvatiri kuenda through in the new or in the independent Zimbabwe. Saka tichiri kubvunza mubvunzo iwoyo kuti nai Neanda Nyakasikana. We still need to appeal to the guardian spirit of Neanda to come and come and rescue the people of Zimbabwe. The same way Mutsvairo said, kuti vana voparara here nhaiwe Nyakasikana uripo. Kana ari Yeshua, mudzimu wenyika yeZimbabwe, we still need to go and appeal to the guardian spirit of Neanda to come and rescue the people of Zimbabwe from E.D. Mnangagwa's shackles, from the Zimbabwe government of slavery. Zimbabweans are enslaved in their country. I'm not sure, is this what Mbuya Neanda fought for or died for? Ndoda kuti muverenge bhuku rakanyorwa naMutsvairo. Riverengei bhuku iroro. Sweetheart, zviri sei? Ndoda kuti muverenge bhuku iroro. Tosvika rini tichitambura munyika yeZimbabwe? Kana Mbuya Neanda varivo chokwadi vakasunungura, vakaita kuti nyika isununguke kubva kumabhunu. Ngavachiita kuti nyika isununguke kubva kuna Mnangagwa negovernment yake yemhondi. Kutaura kwatiri kuita Geza ari mumochari. Nekuti waramba kuti 2030 hazviite mudhara hausugona kutonga. Your behavior does not reflect a president's behavior. Saka why can't you step down or set aside, then we put someone watofungidzira kuti ane maqualities ekutonga nyika yeZimbabwe? Saruwaka has been shot yesterday. Geza has been poisoned. Changirai got poisoned. Patson Zamara got poisoned for criticizing this government. So, Everything that Mnangagwa is doing has defeated the objectives of the armed struggle. The armed struggle was supposed to create necessary democratic space in which Zimbabweans could be free to criticize their government. During the struggle war, you were not allowed to criticize the Smith regime. A lot of people perished. A lot of people died. People were sent to prison. People were hanged for just criticizing the regime of Ian Smith. Vanhu vainyora mabhuku vaitorambidzwa kunyora about Smith. Tapinda muZimbabwe yakauya nehondo. Zimbabwe hondo yaifana kuye kucreate a democracy space so that we can criticize the government painotadza. We are not allowed to criticize the government. And this has worsened because abantu kutera kunokuuraya kana kwatizanda ku South Africa. So we are not free to criticize our government. Your government. You can't criticize it. We are in a new black-to-black form of slavery, where what you say has to be censored by the government. You need to always say correct things determined by Niki Mangwana. Niki Mangwana ndiye anofanira kudetermine kuti this is correct, this is wrong. Ukataura izwasungwa. So that defeats the objective of the armed struggle. The killing of Geza defeats the objective of the armed struggle. The killings of Saruwaka defeat the objectives of armed struggle. So what Mnangagwa is doing now is gonna fire up Zimbabweans. And when it fires up Zimbabweans, they will be very aggressive. Zimbabweans will adopt this aggressiveness. And this would inspire the killing of Geza, the killing of Saruwaka would inspire young Zimbabweans, probably younger women as well. Mark my words, these youngsters, if given an opportunity to take up arms to fight Emmerson Mnangagwa's government, they will do it today. Because what they want is to free themselves from the bondage, from the shackles of ZANU-PF. A ZANU-PF regime that cannot create jobs. A ZANU-PF regime that cannot make our healthcare work. That cannot construct our road infrastructure. That cannot construct our rail infrastructure. That cannot construct industries for people to work there and earn money. 99% of Zimbabweans are unemployed. Vanhu vanopona nekutengesa madomasi. Munhu wese ari kutengesa. Vachipinda kune dzimwe nyika. Do you know kuti kwatinoenda kunohodha kune dzimwe nyika, those countries are getting rich because they are taking our US dollar, they are taking our money. Isusu we have become a consumer country. We just take mafuta toya todya. What is coming to Zimbabwe? Nothing. Food tichivaka miri, tichivaka magaro. Kuti mai weru vakotamire Mnangagwa pamberi apa. Mnangagwa abvume kuti yes, aya ndo magaro makuru manje. Vapei akwa, vapei $2,000. Vanhu vakaenda kuhondo vakatsamhira nyoka, they're getting nothing. Anditi maona nyaya yati kutaura. Saka ndati inini, do we need again to appeal to the guardian spirit of Neanda to come to and rescue, to come to Zimbabwe and rescue her people, her children from E.D. Mnangagwa's government, from E.D. Mnangagwa's slavery. Tochichema here futi zvakataurwa naMudhara Mutsvairo mubhuku rakanzi Feso 1956. Achiti Neanda nyakasikana. Tochema futi here. Handisi kuziva mana weZimbabwe kuti muri kufunga sei. Because mapurveya adzoka. Chemai kuna mbuya Nanda mumuudze kuti mapuruvheya adzoka. Aya aitiponda nguva dzehondo. Ini ndaive kunotoni uku rimwe gore, so paive nekandege kainzi kadidiya. Kaiti kakati wii komira mudenga umu. Kotoka reconnaissance kobva kazoti kotora mapicture chichi zvese kuti koenda. Ndakazonzwa makomrade akuimba. Kamwe kamganzi kamwe kamchuni kasiya boda pawaya. Kachitiza chopa dzemapuruvheya kongonya ina ndimbogaya kongonya kuti kune chopa kongonya ina ndimbogaya kongonya kuti kune sub. Andini maona mapuruvheya adzoka. Nguva dzehondo vanhu vatainzwa vachinzi mapuruvheya mapurisa amunoona muZimbabwe ari ezano ari kuuraya vanhu aya ndo mapuruvheya aya. This was a derogatory term for police officers during the war. Waiti ukazwa kuti mapuruvheya waibva watoziva kuti vauya. Anditi madzakutsaku ndo atiri kuona nhasi. Madzakutsaku, it was another name of defected soldiers who fought against the people's wishes. Ndo vainzi madzakutsaku. Ukatarisa ku opposition now kwakazara madzakutsaku azara kuZANU-PF fighting our will. We are trying to get a free Zimbabwe, new leadership which can bring industry, make our hospitals work, can construct our roads, railways, and clean our Harare. But madzakutsaku ari kuzviramba izvozvo. Vana Jacob Mafume madzakutsaku. Vana Douglas Monzora, vana Obet Gutu madzakutsaku esa. They are working against the people's wishes. They are promoting 2030 mantra. Kuti Mnangagwa must rule Zimbabwe unconstitutionally for 2 more years. And paanopedza 2 more years, zanenge akutaura 5 more years. That means you will be stuck with an elected president, a person without legitimate to run the country. Ninyaya madzakutsaku aya, ninyaya mapuruvheya. Saka tikutaura kuti no to ZANU-PF 2030 mantra. The ideology itself is unsound. Why would Mnangagwa not do what he wants to do in those 2 years? He is the president. He is still the president of Zimbabwe, who can deliver what he wants to deliver in those 2 years now. And show us in 2028 up to 2030. Bye-bye. He can't do that. And this ideology is very unsound ideology. Very primitive ideology. Being championed by uncivilized people. Murderers. Senseless killers. Wanton killers. And it's honor. So if you look at the killing of Geza, the killing of Mfana Wedu Saruwaka, it's because Mnangagwa wants to instill fear, real fear in the people of Zimbabwe. They want to try to scare you not to rise up. But we must refuse that. We have refused it even during Mugabe's time, when we were killed in thousands, when we were tortured in millions. But we stood steadfast against Mugabe's regime. We must stand up and be counted loud, ladies and gentlemen. Let's continue to expose the ugly facts of E.D. Mnangagwa. This is why he killed Geza. This is why he killed Saruwaka. Because these guys, they stood and made bare ugly facts about Mnangagwa's failure. He has failed to run Zimbabwe. He has failed to run Zimbabwe. So even if you go in ZANU-PF now, with all these killings of their cadres, ZANU-PF now ensures that Mnangagwa is never criticized. He's never criticized. They regard Mnangagwa as probably one of the richest men in the world. They regard Mnangagwa as one of the busiest presidents in the world. He has flown to and from Zimbabwe every single day. What did he bring to Zimbabwe? Nothing. What progress did he bring to the country? Nothing. Mnangagwa is stepped on every busiest airport in the world. He has been to well-established countries. He has been to China, Russia, where they've got beautiful seats, clean seats. But Mnangagwa himself failed to deliver that to the people of Zimbabwe. And instead, he went to Russia to look for mshonga poisona vanhu and follow these people across the borders, trailing these political activists through South African government, coordinating with South Africans and poisoning these youngsters, killing these people in Zimbabwe, pursuing them, pursuing political activists outside Zimbabwe, outside our Zimbabwe national borders. This is why I said the president's behavior has deteriorated beyond being the president of a country. Because by following these political activists outside the national borders, it raises profound legal and ethical questions. What is Zimbabwe government pursuing them for? Are there any laws of pursuing them for criticizing Mnangagwa? Why can't they engage the law enforcement agents to try and arrest them there if they committed crimes? As Zimbabweans, we should be looking for ways best to protect our innocent people. And we must have ways to protect our innocent people. Ladies and gentlemen, it's so sad today to admit that Kudzai Saruwaka left Zimbabwe in a half after receiving a tip-off that a team of leather system operatives had been assigned to deal with him regarding his close association with Blessed Geza and their spirited efforts in anti-2030 campaign. He flew out of Zimbabwe on the 20th of October last year, and Madzibaba Shanduko was arrested that same year. So Saruwaka's killing, ladies and gentlemen, and the Job Scholars Republic of South Africa Dynamite episode call for greater vigilance for our opposition guys, those who are in South Africa. Listen to your commander, Shepherd Judah. I'm calling for your vigilance. Be vigilant, because Ndara Arakupedzai. I know we all have hustles, but those in spotlight, please, you must be very careful. I understand that I'm on spotlight. You are also on spotlight. I have been telling Blessing McKay, our one of female activists who fought ZANU-PF tooth and nail back in Zimbabwe. Fortunately, she is now in the United Kingdom. I have always warned Blessing that, look, you are also on spotlight. You must be specifically careful. These people are killers. I know you have got all hustles to do. You have got families to feed back in Zimbabwe. People need to go in and out of South Africa to buy and feed your families. But you must exercise extra caution, because we are targeted by Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa. So this killing of Blessed Geza and the Saruwaka must heighten awareness. We must be a disciplined force. This is essential, especially when ZANU-PF has been poked in the eye. Geza and the Saruwaka, they poked ZANU-PF in the eye. Both incidents, both killings are examples of how it seems that the Zimbabwe government can target an individual or target organizations based outside their borders. I am saying the two killings or these two incidents, they have demonstrated that ZANU-PF government under Emerson Mnangagwa have got capacity to target you despite that you are outside the country. They've got the money. A good example is the arrests and charge and conviction of Da Williams Shinyanga for being a terrorist. Imagine if you understand the word terrorist and you try to compare Chinyanga's behavior and terrorists, you can hardly come up with a label to say Chinyanga is a terrorist. But it's because of ZANU-PF money. They have managed to access to Chinyanga. So you need to be very careful, guys. We need to exercise caution. We are outside Zimbabwe borders. But look at the terrifying results. The death of Blessed Geza, the death of Saruwaka. These are terrifying results, demonstrating that these people can follow you anywhere. They can poison you. So we need to be very careful. So ZANU-PF is increasingly reaching us across their borders. They are increasingly reaching you. They are targeting people living abroad. They are trying to enforce the ideas of 2030, and we are saying no to that. So they are reaching their critics across the borders. Wherever you are, wherever I am, we need to exercise caution. We need to be very careful. We definitely need to be very careful. Because this kind of state action, operating beyond borders, or done outside Zimbabwe national borders, is known as transnational repression and is becoming more widespread in recent years. In SADC countries, Zimbabwe government is seen as the biggest perpetrator in SADC countries. Something using violence to close down criticism is the speciality of ZANU-PF, or to shut down protests against this regime, against Zimbabwe regime. This is being done in other countries. So you need to be very careful. I need to be very careful. It's not surprising that they've done it today. They've done it before. They followed activists in Malawi and killed them. Followed activists in Mozambique and killed them. Some died in Botswana. And they are being killed out of poison. They are being poisoned. Anongofa chingonzi colon cancer, colon cancer, colon cancer. Ladies and gentlemen, Zimbabwe government has taken this kind of action outside their borders just to instill fear in you. They've done it in the past, but we were not scared. We are not scared. You must not be scared. We must be prepared to confront it. Because this type of terror tactics can take many forms. And this type of terror tactics can be assassinations. Geza has been assassinated. Saruwaka has been assassinated. Can be abductions. Can be assaults. You can be assaulted. You can be assaulted. Because you are criticizing 2030 Emerson Mnangagwa's ideology. My car was smashed outside. And can come in form of detentions. Anonzi my detentions I took to I've said a clear case of the Williams Shinyanga. My clear case, I was accused of rape, of raping a ZANU-PF activist. This is why there is a sudden change of behavior in the people I associate with. I used to associate with a lot of people, and but of late, I scrutinized my behavior. There was a guy in Lodlo who used to write a lot about, on my paper. Guys, I don't represent anyone seeking asylum in this country. I've never represented anyone seeking asylum. No. If someone feels like I need to be his witness and I know that person is political activism, yes, I can help you. Not because I don't know you. So, of late, I've revisited my behavior and I've seen it fit to draw back a bit so that I don't interact with the people I don't know. If I don't know you, I don't know you. I have no obligation to help you. It's because of these detentions. I was once accused of rape by a ZANU-PF activist. If it was not for the detectives who carried out a thorough investigation, I would have been imprisoned in this country. And they went live, they went on Facebook writing, yeah, he's going to be deported, and the ZANU-PF is ready to pound on him. He will kill, he will die, this sellout. A lot is, I'll have one day where I'll bring out the file. I'll read the file here. Then I'll be talking about the names of people who were writing on the file. I've got the file there. And I've got some police reports as well, which I'll come live on Facebook and try to expose these people, their shenanigans, what they did to me. So, by such experience, I've drawn back a bit, watching from a distance whatever people are doing. Because once you are deported, once you are arrested, convicted, you'll be deported. And this is what ZANU-PF is praying. One day, Shepherd, we want to eat him alive. ZANU-PF is praying that once I get deported from the United Kingdom, they will eat me alive. And this is all done just to silence exiled political activists. ZANU-PF wants to silence us. Saga, if we don't be very careful, we will be silenced. Journalists have been silenced. And Geza, they were former insiders who are now silenced permanently. So the incidents of transnational repression that took place in South Africa recently confirms the idea that South Africa government has increasingly cooperated with the Zimbabwe dictator to help target exiled descending forces. Descending forces. We are being targeted. You are being targeted. We need to be very careful. So I appeal, let me appeal today to other countries, including the superpowers, to help us combat these practices. The Vision 2030 is evil, must never succeed. It is a vision about silencing dissenting voices abroad, aiming at persecuting exiles who had been forced to flee our homeland. We have been forced to flee our homeland. And these killings are designed or aimed to silencers, aimed to prosecutors, to persecutors. We are in exile. We are the exiles. And you know, we are in exile. We are the exiles. So I'm also appealing to my colleagues in exile. We have been engaging in these political activities. That don't forget you are an exiled dissident. ZANU-PF regard you as a dissident. Both of your dissenting voices. You constitute a threat to the reputation of ZANU-PF and the reputation of a country, and to the survival of ZANU-PF junta. So the junta, when they look at you, their perception is they are seeing a dissident. And you see the way they treated Geza and Saruwaka, killing them one after another, because they feel threatened. They feel like these guys are dissidents. We have successfully lobbied United Kingdom to engage the Zimbabwe government. We have shamed this regime. Waiti ukauya ku-UK ukaenda ku-London kuveju. Ndakaona wana Mary Ndoro vachidira wana ainzani okufa uyu Msojo. Kadirwa weti. Vachitara atikendenge wana china masa vachidirwa weti. Kuratidza kuti vanhu vari in a free country. They've shamed the tyrants. They've shamed the regime. Because of its human rights record, this regime, we must continue to shame it. Because of its violations, human rights record violations they have perpetrated. We must not be scared, the people outside Zimbabwe. Let's continue to shame it. Let's take the death of Geza and Saruwaka as lessons and put some contingent plans, what we need to do. Regime, if it looks at you, you are more of a security threat. So they regard their security most important than your rights. They don't care about human rights. They don't care about your rights. They care about their security. They care about their looting. So we need contingent plans. Let's take the death of Geza and Saruwaka as a lesson. And let's continue from where they left. Geza came with a torch to light the darkness for you to see where to go. So the torch has been already given to you. It has been already passed on to you. It's up to you to use it. Last time I said, Donald Trump, there is a new sense of Trump that makes ZANU-PF to celebrate death and destruction. Donald Trump, zvaakaita kuVenezuela, dai zviri izvo zvaari kuita madictators ese, achingotora achinounganidza kuWhite House uku. Zimbabwe was supposed to be the next. Ndosakaona akatya kutaura kuti akomana ere. So what I'm doing, ladies and gentlemen, what I've done today is just to conscientize you, to conscientize the masses and rally behind the political, social, and economic programs. What I'm just doing is just to conscientize you guys so that you grab this opportunity to rally behind the programs that are coming. Sorry, if Louis. There is a new political party on the board. President Nelson Chamisa is coming back. maso achinja atsvuka kudzipwa neflu. Andimaona. There is a new child on the block coming for you to wrestle power from ZANU-PF. We need to grab it by two hands. Don't listen kurana Monzora. Mapuruvea. Matsakwakwaya, don't listen to them. Tumwe tufana twese twana cooksmen tukutaura twanani. Don't ever listen to them. MaZimbabweans, you are not children. Amusana wadikini. Muri vanhu vane brains. You don't need to listen to someone. You need to listen to your conscience. This is why I've conscientized you. For you to see. As a nation, Zimbabwe as a nation, we are facing these challenges because we want to listen to useless people. People who divert our fight for their personal gains. So we will never prosper if we continue to listen to useless people. Those are not opposition leaders, but they are regime enablers. So in society like ours, where there is a big gap between powerful people in ZANU-PF and weak people in the masses, we must not hesitate to take ruling elites head on. So there is a need, ladies and gentlemen, to create awareness in the public and give you confidence to stand against the injustice when carried out by Zimbabwe government. The injustice that we have witnessed, the killing of Geza, the killing of Saruwaka, the 2030 mantra, those are injustices. There's a need of attitude change. There is a need of attitude change. ZANU-PF has no authority to take anyone's life whatsoever state. It has got no right to take anyone's life. It has got no right to harass Zimbabweans inside and outside Zimbabwe. ZANU-PF has got no right. We are citizens of that country. We are supposed to challenge our government when it does something wrong. There is no reason why ZANU-PF government will want to make us live in fear. Killing Geza, killing Saruwaka, instilling fear in other activists who want to participate in politics. This brute force must be condemned. Otherwise, this authoritarian regime will fall with a thud if we continue to challenge it. We want just to clamp down this regime. We want to make sure that it does not control the opposition brute force. Because they want to contrast with brute force. So we must ensure that that will never happen in our lifetime. Yes, Chimama became a critic and was killed. Saruwaka was murdered. So I know people are suggesting that Anzi Madzibaba Shanduko, they made some people who were sent by Gambagwe, and he was arrested. Chimama interviewed by Gambagwe and later found dead. Saruwaka met Gambagwe and was assassinated the following day. So people are associating Gambagwe with these killings. I don't want to, he's a blogger, I don't want to incite anything like that against Zimbabwe, but this is what people are writing to say people needs to be to play safe with Zimbabwe. I'm not sure, because maybe someone anenge angove ne passion for news, but hanzi nakai chimama Saruwaka, they met Zimbabwe and they met their demise. I don't want to speculate, but I've been advised, or let me advise Zimbabweans to seek safety, especially safety alarms. But when in South Africa, I think you have got safety alarms with you, that if you press it, it will ring to the police and quickly summon emergency help if you are in danger. So I found mu UK, kana ndikangodongorera panze ndikaona vanhu vasinganyatsonzwisisa vachingota loit around, I've got the alarm upstairs, ndongomhanya ndoipressa, so panouya armed party panapa, dzinouya pfuti pano, because we, after some death threats given by ZANU-PF people and a lot, we were given those alarms by the police. Saka vanhu vari mu UK, those with lives on danger, if you go to your MP, write to your police and so forth, you get these alarms. Ndinayo alarm iri mudenga, ndikakwidza ndikaipressa, so inodaidza mapurisa. Mapurisa haamboiti kana 5 minutes vanenge vaapano. Anditi maona. Saka I don't know South Africa if that system is there. As refugees, you must have those alarms. Because if you suspect that there is a threat to physical harm, or people are threatening to physically harm you, or people are threatening to abduct you, kidnap you, target you when walking, because some of us who have been targeted for smear campaigns in the Warakashika, tikaiswa surveillance in cyberbullying. But if you feel that your physical presence is to be harmed or kidnapped, there are those alarms we got from the police. You just press them and then it sums help. And more. Ukatarisa zvinezvi kana ana Fadzai Maere vai I don't think how safe Fadzai Maere is in that country, where she has faced the vicious abuse from Wana Levson Chambati, including my rape threats. Wana Chambati, they are threatening to rape Fadzai Maere. Udanza urorwe sei wada kutumurepa. And they are threatening to disseminate personal information to the people. Anze akabatwa neboyfriend akazoita sei. Saka ZANU-PF is just bullying that lady. And the same way it has bullied me. And it's bullying all the critics just to silence you by threatening. Even your families back home, you need to be very dangerous. And more. Naga advise a colleague, a friend here, Blessing McKay. Of course, you need to be very careful now. Because these people, Mnangagwa, ne 2030 yake, is targeting families back home for retaliation of whatever people in the diaspora are doing, particularly in our activities to expose him. And the Saka, I'm not sure, guys, kuti turikuenda kupi, tichibva kupi, kuti ichapera sei nyaya iyi. But the government of Zimbabwe, or let's say, let me appeal to the governments worldwide that they must ensure that the Zimbabwe government comply with international pressure. Among them, tikatasa US, kuti US yakamboisa kunyanga ari sanctions chaiyo, ikamboshandisa diplomatic channels to send a strong signal to this repressive regime of ZANU-PF that this cross-border attacking will not be tolerated. They must do it now. to make sure that ZANU-PF is aware that this cross-border attacks, killings, abductions, and torture of people who fled from Zimbabwe is not tolerated. And that should never be tolerated in a free society. Political activists who were forced into exile, and we need not to fear any obstacles whilst we are in exile. We need not to feel threatened whilst we are in exile. Our status in these countries, we are refugees. So we are legally protected by the United Nations, by the host countries where we live. So it's bad for South Africa government to abrogate such crucial role to others instead of the government taking it to protect these refugees against the criminals from Zimbabwe government who cross into South Africa to kill South Africa, to kill the people of Zimbabwe. The regime is operating freely, ladies and gentlemen, to the extent that totosunga dzisimbe manzwa kutaura kwandikuita. So it's 23 past 10. I think I have 2 hours and the presentation. Good night. Saka vanga vane mibvunzo vai chiuyai mubvunze manje. Ndokupai time yekubvunza mibvunzo yenyu ndikwanise kuipindura. Handini maona. Ndikwanise kupindura mibvunzo yenyu vane mibvunzo. Bosi kurai vana vadiki kuri kuita ZANU-PF hazvina zvazvobatsira. That will never change anything. That will not stop Zimbabweans from fighting this regime. The people of Zimbabwe will continue to fight. Hanzi Zimbuya Kerina Mjati rikutuka Chamisa every day. Problem ya Kerina Mjati ka aishanda ku civil aviation. Munhu akatsvagirwa ubasa, aitotsvagirwa ubasa ku civil aviation. Vakatsvagirwa I think zvana Mugabe zvekunzi mabhodha gezi kaya vapeiwo basa. Saka achingarege kutuka because haana imwe munhu ari blunt, munhu ari down. Andoona, munhu ari down. Saka vanhu vari down, they are like parrots. Yokuti chaabata haregere. Parrot ukapinda iwewe kuseni ukavhura door unonzwa richiti good morning. Ukaya masikati parrot rokuti good morning. Ukaya manheru nokuti good morning. So those are parrots, don't worry about them. Haana kana chekuti anogona kutukira Chamisa kana chaanokwanisa kuita. Iye chaakaita chipa nyika hapana. Andoona. Hapana. Rinenge richingokungurukawo zvaro richienda richikwangwaya muno mu-UK. Plus problem inoitika ndeyekuti munyika munomu kana usina murume kuvakadzi I think zvine impact, zvine effect somehow. Handiti maona. Saka anyway guys, asitaura zvakawanda. I will try to invite Kerina Mjati live on Facebook to understand his beef with Emerson, with Nelson Chamisa. Chamisa has never ruled Zimbabwe. His presidential ambition was stolen twice, but he is still standing. Good night.